Hey everyone, this is Faisal, certified high performance coach and a lifelong student of philosophy, spirituality, and sciences. Today is challenge day 21, and today's challenge topic is self-worth. Before I go into the topic, as always, I want to take the time to thank, honor, and commend all those who have been participating in these discussions, who have been taking the time to like and share the videos, who have been taking the time to post their answers so they can help themselves and others around them. Thank you very much for all that you guys have been doing, for all your support. So once again, today's topic is self-worth. And today's challenge questions are as follows. Question number 1. Do you place value on yourself because of the things that you do, the relationships that you're in, because of the status that you have, the money that you have or don't have, or the status that you have or don't have, because of all the things that are around you, the things that you have or don't have? Do you place value on yourself because of those things? And also the expectations that you fulfill for others. Do you place value on yourself because of those things? Why, if you do? And if you don't, why? In either case, please answer the question why. And the second question is, what are some of the qualities within yourself that you like, love, or admire? List a bunch of qualities and tell us why you like those qualities within yourself, or admire within yourself, or love within yourself. Okay, self-worth. One of the most important topics in personal development, and one of the least understood topics in our existence. So what is self-worth? Self-worth is the value that we place on ourselves, our self-esteem, a lot of people would say, the value that we place on our existence, on who we are. And when you actually think about it, for most people, and that's why I asked you the first question, for most people, the value that they place, or for somebody, an individual, the value that he or she places on him or herself is usually based on the things that he or she does, the job that he or she has, the status that he or she has, the expectations that he or she fulfills towards others, towards society, towards his or her family, and the list goes on and on. The way a person looks, the way we behave. So our value becomes basically a combination of exactly what society teaches us. And this is where the flaw comes into this. This is where this whole idea of self-worth that we've been taught starts to break down. And why is that? Because when we think of self-worth, when we think of ourselves as divine beings, if you just sit down with yourself and ask yourself, who are you? And we talked about oneness yesterday. If we actually are, if you believe in the idea of some kind of higher power in the universe, or in a God, if we are an expression of that, if we're here to express that expression, that creative power, then what is really our self-worth? Is it the worth that others assign to us because of how we look, what we do, the status we have, the things that we have, the way we contribute to society? Is it based on that, or is it just because we exist because of that creative expression? Really think about this. Sit down and ask yourself, who are you? Are you what society makes of you? Or are you because you are? You weren't made here. You weren't created. You're not born here because society willed you to be here. They might have had an intention to procreate, but at the end of the day, you came here with your own purpose. You came here with your own existence. You're a being in yourself. You came here to express your own happiness, to express your own purpose. Came here to be, to experience, to love, to understand, to learn. And in the process, the way we're designed, the way we've evolved, we will always do the things that society expects of us, such as contribute to society, such as be good to people, such as create a living for ourselves within a society. All those things come with our nature. And the way we've designed our world, the way we've designed societies, it works backwards. Where we have this assumption that if we don't teach people to work, if we don't teach people to be good, if we don't teach people to create a life for himself or herself, they will just sit in a corner and not do anything. But that goes against our innate nature, because we are a being of motion, we're a being of expression. Or if you observe a child, you'll see that child doesn't sit around. Even at a very young age, that child will be moving around, try to notice things, try to learn things, try to do things. That's within our nature, that will always be productive, will always be going towards something that we love, will always be fulfilling something that we want, will always be contributing, because when we feel appreciated within a social circle, we'll always return that, regardless of the expectations that circle has around us, the social environment has around us. We'll always do more. And we find that even with recent research, that most people quit their jobs because they're not appreciated. And we're finding with positive psychology is that the more people are appreciated, the more they feel like they belong to something that is grateful for them for who they are. Then they'll do more, rather than them forcing a person to do something. And that's the basic flaw that we live around, that we assume that if we don't force somebody to learn something, if we don't force somebody to be a certain way, if we don't force somebody to do something, they won't be. So we've designed all these, our education system, our school system, our work system, our social systems around a false assumption that we need to force people to do things. But it's within our nature to learn. It's within our nature to move. It's within our nature to do things. It's within our nature to care. It's within our nature to contribute. It's like teaching a fish how to swim. It's backwards. It doesn't make any sense. And the more research you study, scientific research with evidence, nowadays it'll teach you, it'll tell you that that's true. So what ends up happening, and this is where you'll, some of you might have an objection to this. I'm not here to prove anything to you. You can look for your own evidence, but you'll come up with objections. Oh, I know people who are lazy. I know people who are like this. I know people who don't care at all. What we don't understand is that people do things the way people do the things that they do because of a reason. Because they went through something that affected them in a certain way. And I'll bring that up in the next topic, or the topic after that, in human nature, why we do the things that we do. But the bottom line is, if you understand that none of our behavior is a random behavior. We're not uncaring because we're naturally uncaring. Something happened in our life that made us like that. We're not lazy because we're naturally lazy. Something happened within us that made us that way. We're naturally not lazy. We're not unproductive because some people are unproductive, some people are. We're all productive. We all want to move. We all want to do something, but we place so much pressure on people in society that basically it goes against how we are, and we just freeze most of the time, mostly because of fear, of not being able to achieve, fear of not being able to meet somebody's expectations, whether that be your family, your social circle, society, or education system, whatever that is. If you study statistics into in terms of teen suicide rates, or what people, how many people commit suicide just because of education system. And education system is supposed to be there to empower people, yet it's killing people. And not to mention the people who are stressed out, the people who are under fear constantly because of an education system that was designed in 1800s based on flawed assumptions. So I don't want to go too much deep into it, but once again, so I wanted to go into this because we need to stop having assumptions about how we are as human beings. We need to actually start learning how we are, because much of the assumptions that we have, they are flawed. They're based on an older system that doesn't apply anymore. They're based on a system that was designed to make people work for somebody, make people do for somebody, to do something because of somebody else's fear. But we need to create a system where we empower people, where we allow people to go towards their potential, to go towards their purpose. And it all starts with self-worth. We have to allow people to believe in themselves. And most people, when I asked you that first question, the reason I asked you is that most people do believe that their self-worth is related to how they look, what they do, the status that they have, the things that they have, the expectations that they meet of their parents, society, and the things around them. But those are the thoughts. We talked about this in the ego. Those are thoughts given to us. Those are not our thoughts. Those are a collective thought, and not to mention a collective thought based on a flawed system, based on a flawed way of thinking. And if you go back to our childhood, the reason we don't know our self-worth, the reason we feel like we need to do things to be worthy, is because we were brought up with parents who didn't know what self-worth was. And one generation after another, the same ignorance has been passed down. It is not to blame the parents, and like I've said before, we're all victims of victims when it comes to these things. But we need to become aware of the fact that we need to start questioning things around us. And one of the most important things we need to question is that we don't need to do things to be worthy to live. We weren't brought here because society chose that for us to be here. We're brought here because of an act of love. We're brought here because of an act of creation. We're brought here to be here, to express ourselves, to express who we are, to express an aspect of us, whatever that might be for you. And I can tell you this right now, it took me a long time to figure out, but whatever you are, you're enough. You don't need to do anything to be more. And from a spiritual perspective, from a universal perspective, no matter what you do, you can't add to what you are in terms of your worth. You are worthy. And let's take another idea or an analogy. If you think of a seed of a plant, of a tree, that seed, when it's small, it needs nourishment, it needs care, it needs love for it to grow. And when we are growing a seed on the ground, we don't look at it as, oh, this is worthless, this is tiny, this is small. We look at it as a potential, and this is the key to self-worth, that it is a potential that will grow into that tree. And same with us, when we're born into this world, even in the womb, we come with a potential, and that potential never goes away. Because if you notice a child, when a child is born, what does a child do? A child just sits around, basically doesn't do anything. Later on, it starts to play around and eats everything and just sleeps. And we're constantly taking care of that child. So why do we not think a child is worthless? And then at some point we draw this line on the ground, this arbitrary line, saying that, oh, you need to do this to be worthy as an adult. But Who made up that line? You have to ask yourself, why is it that we create this idea at some point in our life where all of a sudden we move from childhood to adulthood and we have to be responsible? And what does responsible mean? And if you are like most people, responsible to you probably means being afraid of feeling bad for what you didn't do in the past, or being afraid of what you can't do in the future. And that's what we're taught, basically, that there's so much pressure that's placed on us that we completely freeze. The reason we freeze is because the society does things that goes against our nature. Instead of giving us fear, if we were given empowerment, we do much better than we have been doing. And that doesn't come from a place of a place where we feel like we need to do things to be worthy. It comes from a place of joy. It comes from a place of bliss where we want to do things to contribute because once it makes us feel good, not because we have an obligation to contribute to our family, to society, to our work, not because we have an obligation to be somebody. If we feel good about it, if we feel joy in it, if we do it, that's having more self-worth. And again, self-worth is connected to self-love, and self-love is connected to self-care. We need to start with self-care. We need to take care of ourselves. We need to take care of how we eat. We need to take care of our energy. We need to take care of our time to play. We need to take care of having the time to contemplate, the time to read, the time to be, rather than just the time to do things for somebody. Because if we can't take care of ourselves, at the end of the day, it completely beats the purpose that we can do something for other people. Because if we don't have the energy, if we don't have the motivation, if we don't have the love from within us to do things, the drive from within us, then we'll always be forcing ourselves to do things. But if we have the energy, if we have the vibrancy, if we have the passion to help, if we have the passion to do things, we will do 10 times what people expect of us. Why? Because it's in our nature to do so, not because society expects of you. And that's what we need to differentiate. And we need to understand that just as a child has that potential, we have that potential until we're here, and probably even beyond, because that's just how we are. We're always in a state of learning. We're always in a state of growth. And if we don't put these fears, pressures, and obligations that society places on us, on ourselves, then we do much better than we think. And if we've ever been around people who feel fearful, who don't think of themselves as worthy of being alive, who feel like they're worthless, you'll notice how frozen they are. They're not able to do things. They feel like they're lazy. And then one thing leads to another. It creates a chain reaction where that person just sits around. And that completely contradicts the idea that you need to force people to do things. Because as soon as you put pressure on people, as soon as you put pressure of fear on people, they stop doing things. And that's our mechanism, that's our biological mechanism, because as soon as we are afraid, we either fight or flight. And in this case, we run away from society by going inwards, by stop doing things. So, once again, we need to really think about what our self-worth is. Do we need to be worthy of living here by doing things? It doesn't mean that you shouldn't do things. We'll always do things. We'll always be somebody, and there's a subtle difference between you doing something to please others, to please society, to please somebody else, compared to you doing things because you truly want to do it, because you love doing it, because you love helping people, because you love going towards your passion, because you love caring for other people, because you love learning, because you love being educated, not because society tells you that you should be educated. In any case, it's an extensive topic, and my idea is to get you to think about it. And if you think about this in terms of spirituality, if you go on the eastern side, if you go to India or any of those eastern countries, you'll find these sages that are sitting there literally doing nothing. Call them gurus or sages or spiritual teachers or even beggars. Some of them, they're just sitting there standing on one leg. Why? Because they understand something that we don't, that they don't have to do anything to prove their existence here. And it's funny how this turns out, because many of those people are revered by people who are so productive in society. If you go into these places, you'll see people are going there to ask their advice on things, and it kind of it's nonsensical, because we are cursing ourselves for not being productive and doing things, but then we're asking somebody who advice who just sits around. But intuitively, internally, we know that that person knows something that we don't. And this is what we need to consider when we consider self-worth, is that who are we, and what is our worth? Is our worth based on what we do for the things, for the people around us, for the things that we have to do, for the society that we have to be in? Or is it because we're just here, we're alive? And this goes into relationships as well, where we feel the need to take care of people constantly. We feel the need to please people. And that all comes from the same idea, those beliefs that we have since childhood, that you need to do things for people so that people can love you. And it's likely from the point where you had to do things for the people in your early childhood to please them, or you had to gain approval of your parents, or you had to gain approval of your small circle, whatever that might be, inner circle, social circle. Whatever that was, those beliefs have stayed with you. We talked about our perception, our beliefs, those thoughts that are not yours, they've stayed with you and they run your life. And if you allow that ego to run your life, what ends up happening is that you stop being you. You don't even know who you are. What you are is a byproduct of what society taught you to be. You forget what your existence is. You forget why you're here. You forget what this experience is. Why? Because you're running on programs, which are beliefs that are set up by a system that is flawed in itself. And the less we question it, the more miserable we become. And we're coming into a point, we've already entered a point in human evolution where many of the things that were useful a couple of decades ago, they have lost their usefulness. Ego was a very useful thing a few years ago, but if you actually really think about it, it's literally insanity now, because it has overtaken our life. And if you don't know much about ego, go to my last video where you can watch it. But you need to ask yourself, do you love yourself? Do you have that self-worth? Do you take care of yourself? Do you do things because you love doing them, or do you do things because you're obligated to do things? And I understand people's challenges. I've been through much of it myself, where you need to make a living, but I'm not telling you to quit your job and just stop being around people. That's not what I'm telling you. What I'm asking you to do is to think, to really sit down and think why you're doing the things that you're doing. And even if you have to do the things that you have to make a living, on the side, create things that bring you joy, that bring you happiness. Because the things that bring you joy and happiness, those are the things that will make you a better person, a better husband, a better wife, a better friend, a better sibling. And unless you experience that, you won't know. So you have to try it in your own life. And I'm just sharing you what I know based on my experience and based on what I've learned from others. So, once again, do you feel worthy to be alive? Or do you need to assign value to yourself based on what society has taught you? Another thing that I wanted to mention in terms of self-worth is that the more we start to focus on the qualities that make us come alive, the qualities that make us feel good about ourselves, the qualities that make us great about ourselves, the more we're able to be happy in our life, that we're able to be productive in our life because we want to be. We were able to move towards our passions. We're able to be good in our relationships. And those qualities, we need to start focusing on them. But before you even do that, you have to figure out what are some of the things that you like within yourself. Is it your courage? Is it the way you interact with people? Is it your caring nature? Is it the way you think? Is it the way you play an instrument? What are some of the things that you love and like within yourself, that you admire within yourself? And really think about it, because the more you start to focus on these things, the more positive your overall characteristic will become, and the more your self-worth will increase within you. Your self-esteem will increase. The less you'll try to get that self-worth from other people by getting approval from others. And we're living in a society where there's, if you've heard the idea of social influence or peer pressure, or trying to get approval from others by trying to get a status, and it goes on till the end of people's life, where we're always trying to get somebody's approval. But unless we create that ability to know who we are, what are the qualities that help us feel better, make us feel good about ourselves, that make us feel worthy to be here. Those qualities are innate within us, and you just need to notice them. And once you start noticing those qualities more and more, all those negative thoughts and all those made-up thoughts that you have in your mind in your ego, they start to have less and less of an effect on you. So find out what those qualities are. You can sit down and write them, or you can type them there in the post below. And go ahead and answer those questions. I want to hear from you guys now. The first question was, do you place value on yourself based on the things that you do, the place that you belong to, the expectations from others, and all the other things that I mentioned in the question, which you'll be able to read? And the second part was, what are some of the things that you love, like, or admire about yourself? And why do you love, like, or admire those qualities within yourself? Think about them and post your answers. Make sure you like and share the video. Make sure you post your answers on the original post so others can see them. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great day. If you loved or even liked the video or this episode, you can do two things right now. One, you can click on the subscribe tab right here on the screen, or in the info area if you can't click on the screen. So you're up to date on all my free training, on all the free training that I send on my YouTube channel on a regular basis. And two, you can click on the success indicator tab on the screen or in the info section, so you can get the training, the thorough training that I created for you, that has 10 factors that will determine whether or not you will be successful at anything that you do or want to do. And it will also help you create more success at anything that you want to do in life. So, and this will also get you subscribed to my newsletter, so I can send you more of these free training on a regular basis that I don't post on my YouTube channel. So make sure you click on those two buttons or tabs, and make sure you like and share this video. Make sure you post your comments in the comment section below so we can get more people involved in our community right here. Thank you very much. Have a great day.